Hello there everybody, welcome back to my shop here at Telecron Time. My name's Roy, your host, and we discussed a lot of different things Telecron related, whether it be Telecron clocks, General Electric clocks, Revere clocks, and yeah, sometimes we'll even throw a Herschel into the mix. But today I've got something really special to show you. This might be the only time that you get an up-close opportunity to look at this particular clock. This is a rather rare 1937 Revere R-530. Just a wonderful clock, and we're going to look at it in a little bit more detail, so let's not waste time, let's get right into it. Now this clock belongs to a gentleman by the name of Clint, and Clint hails out of St. Helens, Oregon. And I want to thank Clint because the only other time I've seen this model is when somebody submitted a picture to me for our website back in 2008. Unfortunately, his particular clock was not stamped with a model number. So when I first spoke to Clint about this, I asked him if his was stamped with a model number, and sure enough, okay, it does have a model number right there. I don't know if you can see it or not, 530. So that solved a long mystery. So before we get into the specifics on Clint's clock, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the dimensions and features of this clock. This model 530 measures 13 inches wide, 9 inches in height, and 4 inches deep. This clock has a nicely painted dial and raised black numbers. The hands are serpentine style, and everything's held in by a brass bezel. The top of this clock is done in a high-grade mahogany veneer. The front of the clock is done in a real nice contrasting maple veneer. Two zebra overlays complete the great look of this clock. Ironically, there was another model made using this exact clock case, except it was made under the GE nameplate. That model was the 305, and it was called the Rhapsody. Now, I have worked on several Rhapsodies over the past few years, and I can tell you that it is a rare clock, but certainly not as rare as this one. I'm going to take a guess here and say that most of the clock cases that Revere made, most of them went to GE for the Rhapsody clock, which makes this particular clock here extremely rare. Here's the last General Electric Rhapsody that I completed in February of 2020. Take a close look at it. It's the same exact case, only the front of the clock is different. But take a look, the hands, the dial, the bezel, everything is identical to the Revere. All right, so let's get back to Clint's clock here and see what's going on with it. Obviously, I think he used a metal detector and dug this one out of the ground out of his backyard, because this clock has definitely seen its better day. The first thing we notice is there's no power cord because there's no coil, no rotor in there, and it is missing the handset knob right there. You can see on the back here that there's a lot of scratches on it. The front itself doesn't look too bad. It's in pretty good shape. Glass is intact, the bezel looks good, but on the top of the clock here, I don't know what happened here, but boy, is it really embedded with something. I don't know if it's dirt. It's probably a combination of dust, dirt, maybe old wax, nicotine, but this is really, really dark. This shouldn't be like this. So this is going to be quite the project. Now, I did go ahead and put together the missing parts that he has. I have a good coil that he's going to need. I got a dog tag for when I put the coil on, a couple spacers. I did get a handset knob, so we have that. And finally, we're going to have a rebuilt rotor from my friend Dave Friedland over at telecronclock.com. This rotor here has been professionally rebuilt back to factory specs and will come with a 5-year warranty on it. Now, one thing I did find out was when I was looking for a handset knob to fit this, I was able to get it on the shaft, but when I went to turn the hands would not turn at all. I mean, they're completely stuck. So there's something wrong, probably on the front of the movement. We'll take a closer look at that when I get the movement out. I have a feeling this particular clock is going to present quite the challenge. So let's get it apart and see what it needs, and let's see if we can't get it to run. All right, so there's supposed to be a small nut that goes right here to help hold the minute hand into place. The reason why I couldn't set the time on this is because that nut was so highly torqued down that it was almost impossible for the hands to move. So when I took it off, I discovered this. Okay, this minute hand has a notch on the bushing right here. Somebody burned that out. Okay, so now what happens is when you put the minute hand back on here, look at this. You get all this. It shouldn't be doing this. It shouldn't move like this. Okay, that's the reason why somebody torqued that nut down, because what they did is they set the minute hand to where they thought it would go, and then they just tighten that nut down really tight to hold it into place. So this is going to probably cause a small issue when I go and put the clock back together, because like I said, this is not supposed to be doing this at all. The front of the movement doesn't look too bad, okay? Probably because this was all enclosed, but the back of the movement, definitely more exposed to the elements, is showing quite a bit of wear. Again, typical on these clocks, the power eye shaft on this, again, this is broken right here. Okay, this should have an extension that comes out. You know, try to do the best I can with it. I can't guarantee that it's going to operate correctly, but at least it'll still be in there for appearance sake. Okay, everybody, well, here we go. Take a look at this. I have a running clock here, and you're going to get the opportunity to hear it chime probably the first time in who knows how long, maybe even decades. So this is my second step of testing. Obviously, as you can see, I don't have the clock fully assembled. It's just set in there loosely. I got everything aligned. I got everything calibrated, so hopefully this is going to sound good. So here we go. Let's see what it sounds like. Get a nice close-up view of the movement as it works. So we're going to go ahead and let this clock run for a while just to make sure that it runs correctly, still chimes correctly. Then we'll finish the assembly on it and hopefully have a finished clock to show you very soon. Wow, this is just a clock that most people wouldn't even have bothered with. And look at the results that we got. So we're going to go ahead and run this clock for a good week before we send it back to Clint. But we should have it back to him well in time for the holidays. I want to thank Clint for giving me the opportunity to present this clock to you. And I hope you guys found this video to be informative. And hey, I look forward to seeing you again on our next Telechron, Revere, or General Electric video. Take care, everybody.